Welcome. Tonight our goal is to invite the board into a dialogue that many homeowners have been having. The goal of this informative presentation is to make Steeplechase the best it can be. Quality of life in our community is of the utmost importance, with high home values that stand apart from other neighborhoods. We humbly ask that you keep an open mind, and we will do our best to answer any questions that may arise at the end of this 20-minute presentation. We also fully acknowledge that some of the issues we will be discussing have been around for a long time. Who are we? We started out talking to our neighbors and our community and realized that we had many common interests. Out of our own needs, we found that there are a lot of us that are for larger outbuildings. So the Steeplechase Homeowners Group was formed as a way to communicate with the board. We are your neighbors. We are builders, office workers, business owners, managers, homemakers, real estate agents, families, retirees enjoying life, and many other skilled people. We are a diversified group. We have neighbors who have never looked at the covenants. We have neighbors who have served on many types of boards, including one homeowner who has served on an HOA board for 12 years. Ultimately, we are neighbors, and the common thread is Steeplechase.
Simply put, a review of operations is an in-depth look at the big picture, addressing communication issues, operating procedures, and other factors that affect the operating conditions. Rest assured, we do not call this special meeting flippantly. COVID has changed the landscape of all of our lives, board meetings included. Zoom is not the ideal choice for this presentation, but we appreciate the willingness of all who are here to listen. Our goal is to start a dialogue with board members and homeowners. Right or wrong, the common homeowner perception is that the board is not approachable. Are you aware that we have requested, through Jeremy, multiple meetings with you, the Steeplechase board, since July of 2020? On August 25th of 2020, we specifically asked Jeremy for a special meeting to be held in September, even offering to supply him with the required signatures of support. His response was, "It doesn't really work like that, but if you have a concern, I can take it to the board for you," and send their response. Multiple times we have asked Jeremy about procedures and specific protocol, only to be sent down rabbit holes, and then he told us what we had done was not necessary. Times change, people change, laws change. Shouldn't our covenants change too? At least every 5 to 7 years, the governing documents should be examined. There may be terms that are no longer applicable to our community, outdated restrictions, or terms that no longer comply with current Colorado CCIOA law. Changes to Colorado CCIOA law are made regularly to avoid confusion by the board and owners and possible litigation if an uninformed board tries to enforce out-of-date restrictions. It is the duty of the board to amend these types of conflicts to comply with Colorado law. There are multiple HOA governing amendments and supplements, officially and lawfully recorded documents through Larimer County that change our covenants that have not been provided to homeowners and are not currently on Kellison's website.
Outbuilding presentation. Main idea is to allow all homes to have 2,350 square foot outbuilding by either of the following three options. I am here to present option 1. Option 1 is to change the covenants so that all properties may build up to a 2,350 square foot main floor outbuilding that meets the current design requirements. The demographics of Steeplechase have changed in the past 20 years. There are currently only 4 properties that have horses on their premises. People are wanting to move into Steeplechase with large RVs, bigger toys, and space for hobbies, etc. Out of the 142 people we have spoken to, which represents 57% of the neighborhood, we have positive support with 127 signatures for larger outbuildings. Up to this point, 52% of the entire Steeplechase neighborhood is for larger outbuildings. Steeplechase homes have appreciated $400,000 to $500,000 from the original home purchase prices of the early 2000s. This table shows the Steeplechase home sales prices for the last 3 years. Highlighted in blue are the horse properties. As a builder and retired real estate agent, I can tell you that there are many factors that go into home sales. Updates, finishes, landscaping, outbuildings, and upkeep determine the varying sale prices of homes. As you can see in the data shown on the left side of the screen, in each of the last 3 years, the highest sales prices were on non-horse properties, and these properties did not have outbuildings at the time of the sale. The facts show that the market value home prices over the past 3 years fail to reflect a higher price was paid for a horse lot. If any premium was paid by an original homeowner for a horse property, it has been absorbed in the market value appreciation of all the Steeplechase properties and does not apply to current home pricing. 1% is a reasonable number, is it not? 1% is also relative. We would all like to have an additional 1% in our checking account. Would a short person wish to be 1% taller? We would love to have 1% less belly hanging over our belt. Would we consider our boss offering a 1% raise as insulting? If you were shown a picture of 100% and a picture of 101%, could you tell a difference? If you bought a standard product and yet received 101%, would you feel good? Conversely, if you bought a product and received 99%, would you feel ripped off? 1% is not typically considered unreasonable. We are requesting the use of 1% more of our property. These scale drawings show the average Steeplechase property, which is 2.2 acres. On the left is a 1,350 square foot outbuilding, which uses 1.4% of the total land area. On the right is a 2,350 square foot outbuilding, which uses 2.4% of the total land area. Increasing the outbuilding size uses only 1% more of our land. This is the same scale drawing showing the larger building superimposed over the smaller building. Constructing a larger outbuilding on a non-horse property cannot devalue any home in Steeplechase. It is literally impossible. Being a Steeplechase homeowner means having a lot of large equipment to maintain your acreage. Riding lawnmowers, tractors, yard trailers, implements, wheelbarrows, snow blowers, etc. And this doesn't include any hobby-related items. A larger outbuilding ensures that everyone can keep all items inside. Thus, less fences, fewer exposed trailers and vehicles, etc. As a builder, a larger building envelope allows for more architectural features in a unique design canvas, rather than a plain, tall, rectangular building.
Outbuilding option number 2. Approve any homeowner's request based on existing Steeplechase covenant regulations and the satisfaction of the 8 criteria for lot designation. We ask the board to dutifully execute Covenant's Article 6, Design Review Committee, Section 7.7, which states, horses and those large domestic animals specifically enumerated in subsection 7.7H will be allowed upon a lot only if the lot is an improved lot for this purpose as designated by the declarant in an annexation of additional land, or other supplement to this declaration, or if such use is approved by the committee, each hereafter referred to in any part of this declaration as a permitted large domestic animal lot, and the following criteria are met. Why is the second "or" important? Why would the original document creator specifically write it this way? The reason is that they intended the future choice of lot designations to be handled by the Steeplechase board with the same power of choice that the original declarant had. The specific use of wording in this section gives multiple opportunities for a lot designation to change. This language does not allow the staunch position for someone to say that the board cannot and should not change the lot designations. Covenants Article 6, Section 7.7 specifically states that if we meet the 8 criteria laid out in 7.7 subsection A through H, then we can be designated by the committee as a permitted large domestic animal lot. Article 6, Section 7.7 A through H is related to the number of horses, barns regarding the number of stalls, paddock or corral. D is omitted in the document. Manure storage and removal, grazing, governmental regulations, and permitted large domestic animals. Now, some of you may be thinking, that is not what my covenants say. My covenants say horse and only a horse property. In addition, my covenants only have 7.7 subsection A through G. The current covenants that most, if not all, of us received, and the current covenants that are published on Kellison's website are not complete and up to date. There are multiple amendments and supplements, officially and lawfully recorded documents through Larimer County that change our Steeplechase covenants that most of us do not have and or have never seen. The next 3 slides show the full 2004 Steeplechase amendment, and the 4th slide zooms in to show the pertinent information. We have not run into anyone that is aware of this 2004 amendment that allows other permitted large domestic animals, including horses, ponies, mules, donkeys, and llamas. This amendment also has the same language in the second "or" that's so important and that gives the committee the power to change our lot designations when the 8 criteria are met. There is nothing in the governing documents that limit, infer, or even suggest the total number of horse properties allowed in Steeplechase. Up until now, the board has used the highlighted map as the limiting factor for horse lots and larger outbuildings. But in a few minutes, we will prove to you that the current map being used is wrong. Ryland poorly handled the horse lot designations in the beginning with multiple amendments, showing that there was very little forethought put into this. In fact, Ryland didn't even designate any of the lots as horse properties until 3 years after homes were built. It was retroactive. From 2003 on, Ryland was changing lot designations as homes were being built. On the next slide is the 2004 Steeplechase Amendment showing how horse lots were designated, and it reveals the Ryland marketing snafu. In addition, this amendment is the second time they added horse lots. The original declarant has marketed and sold lots it owned or owns in the community based on its marketing literature, which designated the lots which were to be considered horse lots. However, the original declarant did not record a document specifying such designated horse lots. The horse lot design was based off of marketing literature, not some grand thought-out plan, and was not official until 3 years after building started. This is a continuation of the 2004 amendment zoomed in. This document shows the second "or" of section 7.7 being applied, where the declarant changes the lot designation. At the bottom of the screen, you will see the highlighted section of the newly designated horse lots. This is the horse lot designation map taken directly from Kellison's website. Note the red arrow pointing to block 8, lot number 18. In error, the Steeplechase board denied the homeowner at 8014 Steeplechase Drive for a 2,350 square foot outbuilding, and the homeowner constructed a 1,350 square foot outbuilding. See 2003 Larimer County document, which states block 8, lot number 18 is a horse property. This is another example of how incomplete documents have the potential to create a liability for the board, where the financial effect of litigation could trickle down to all Steeplechase homeowners. This 2003 amendment is the first official document to designate horse lots. This amendment was also the first time the Ryland marketing snafu was revealed. Zooming in on the final part of the amendment, we can clearly see that Block 8, lot number 18, has clearly been designated a horse lot since 2003. This is a side-by-side view of the horse lot map from Kellison's website. On the right, showing that Block 8, Lot 18 is not highlighted and therefore not a horse lot. And on the left, the subdivision plat verifying Block 8, Lot 18 is the location listed on the amendment declaring that it is a horse lot. These are the type of situations that create liability for the board and all Steeplechase homeowners as a result of incomplete governing documents. We petition the current 3 members of the Design Review Committee, established per Steeplechase Covenants Article 6, Section 6.1, to change any homeowner-requested lot designation to a permitted large domestic animal lot, by way of the authority given the committee per the Steeplechase Covenants in Article 6, Section 7.7, as written and amended and recorded in the 2004 Larimer County document.
Outbuilding option number 3. Grant all covenant variances for building sizes up to 2,350 square feet. Per our governing documents, variances. The board may, from time to time, vary the requirements set forth in this policy if the board determines in its sole discretion that such variance is reasonable under the circumstances. We have already shown that 1% is reasonable. Per Covenants, Article 6, Design Review Committee, Section 6.3, Procedures states, and I'm not going to read this entire slide, but the highlighted area is what we want you to pay attention to. The committee shall, from time to time, promulgate, adopt, amend, and issue guidelines or rules, the architectural guidelines, relating to the procedures, materials to be submitted, and additional factors which will be taken into consideration in connection with the approval of any proposed improvements. The architectural guidelines may specify circumstances under which the strict application of limitations or restrictions under this declaration will be waived or deemed waived in whole or in part, because strict application of such limitations would be unreasonable or unduly harsh under the circumstances. As an example, a 2,000 square foot outbuilding variance was requested and granted by the Steeplechase Board for the homeowner of 7693 Big Sky Court. The argument presented to the board was that the larger outbuilding size could not be distinguished by anyone driving by the property. Declaration and Covenants, Article 4, Duties and Power of the Association, Section 4.14, Power to Adopt Rules and Regulations states, the association, acting through the board or the committee, may from time to time adopt, amend, repeal, and enforce rules and regulations as deemed necessary or desirable. Any such rules and regulations shall be reasonable and uniformly applied. The Steeplechase covenants were violated by the 2006 amendment for outbuilding size changes and removal of all horse property restrictions. It was not uniformly applied and changed for all homes in Steeplechase. When the covenants were amended in 2006, the amendment changed horse properties to allow 2,350 square foot outbuildings. The amendment circumvented the intent of the 3 original covenant building sizes, regulations, and uses allowed for those designated as horse properties. From the original 2001 covenants up to the 2006 amendment, the only way to have the biggest outbuilding simply was to have horses and a garage. For example, if a person bought a horse property between 2001 and 2005, they could not build the largest outbuilding without having horses on the premises. The 2006 amendment incorrectly set apart and benefited the horse properties by lifting all restrictions for horse lots that the original covenant specified. In effect, they allowed a horse property owner a 1,350 square foot increase to go from a 1,000 square foot outbuilding to a 2,350 square foot outbuilding, even if they did not have horses. But a non-horse property went from a 1,000 square foot outbuilding to a 1,350 square foot outbuilding, only a 350 square foot increase. We are asking for the same blanket and uniform change that was granted to the horse properties in 2006 per covenant requirements. The change was done in violation of Covenants Article 4, Duties and Power of Association, Section 4.14, which states that any such rules and regulations shall be reasonably and uniformly applied. We petition the Steeplechase Board for a larger outbuilding variance for all who apply to rectify the error made from the 2006 Covenant Amendment and per the reasonable variance procedure granted to all homeowners in Section 6.3 with an incredibly reasonable request to use 1% more of our land. So in review, here are the three options the board could implement to allow for larger outbuildings. 1, covenant change. 2, change lot designation. Or 3, grant variances. This concludes the outbuilding presentation.
Agenda item number 3, the board and Kellison's roles and responsibilities for the Steeplechase HOA. Did you know the bylaws require the position of secretary to be filled and active? Did you know there are more specified role requirements for the secretary than any other board officer? Did you know that CCIOA state law requires the Steeplechase Board to create yearly free education to the association homeowners? Did you know that all board members are required to sign a conflict of interest policy? Did you know the secretary is required to review and sign all meeting minutes? Did you know, per our governing documents, the board is required to conduct a financial reserve study every 3 years? Did you know that the bylaws state that the design review committee must be 3 Steeplechase homeowners? Did you know that the board/Kellison has not maintained a complete and thorough representation of the Steeplechase documents according to our covenants? Did you know there are other large animals besides horses allowed in Steeplechase? Did you know that Kellison is not permitted by CCIOA state law to approve or deny Steeplechase variances or ARC requests? Did you know that the governing documents state the board is to make decisions in its sole discretion? 3 helpful slides taken from the CCIOA website. Number 1, the board's duty of care. To meet the duty of care, an HOA board member must make informed decisions, which might require a bit of research before you act or vote on an HOA matter. For example, before finding a homeowner for a rule violation, you must familiarize yourself with the association's CC&Rs and the details of the situation, such as by talking to the homeowner. HOA board members must also act in a prudent and reasonable manner, basically using sound business judgment and avoiding arbitrary or capricious actions. For example, you can't fine a homeowner for painting his or her home red just because you don't like that color, if this is not a violation of the association rules. Number 2, the board's duty to act within the scope of authority. This duty requires the HOA board to perform the duties it's obligated to carry out, but prohibits the board from making decisions or acting on matters without the authority to do so. The authority of an HOA comes from its obligations under state laws, as well as the authority granted to it in the development's governing documents. To ensure you meet your obligations as a board member, you must know what duties are required. Review your state law and HOA's governing documents, specifically the Articles of Incorporation and bylaws, and your development CC&Rs to determine the HOA's obligations and the extent of its authority. Number 3, the board is ultimately responsible for HOA obligations. Don't think that hiring a property manager means the HOA board is off the hook. The board is still liable to meet all of its obligations under the governing documents. Board members owe a fiduciary duty to the HOA, which means they are responsible for the well-being of the HOA and must act in its best interest. This duty is not eliminated by hiring a manager. It's the board's duty to supervise the manager and to ensure the manager adequately performs the duties required under the management contract. Although the HOA might have legal recourse against a bad property manager in a lawsuit for breach of contract, the property manager owes no fiduciary duty to the HOA and typically has no legal obligation to the HOA outside the terms of the management contract. So what are we asking? We have thoroughly researched and presented you with 3 reasonable and viable ways to place the equitable value and needs of homeowners above all other concerns. You are our neighbors. We all want the same things. High home values for our community to stand apart from other neighborhoods, usable acreage and quality of life in our community. The needs of this community are changing. We are here to invite the Steeplechase board members and homeowners in selecting the best means to permit larger outbuildings for all lot owners. Thank you for your time and talents serving on this board. We are asking that you thoroughly review the HOA operations, procedures, roles and responsibilities of the board and Kellison's role. The governing documents need detailed examination to make sure Steeplechase complies with all CCIOA state laws. Steeplechase is our home. It is also ours to govern. In the end, we are all neighbors. We, like you, desire that our neighborhood feels like a connected community that is successful for the future.